But another amendment that I offered in committee and lost really speaks to this president and what kind of person he is. And what he's done, let me tell you, there is no cut deep enough to ever satisfy this president when it comes to defense. He will fight to the death over any welfare program. But when it comes to our men and women in uniform, he can't be tough enough on them. And so, but what he's doing in the Department of Defense is he's been plussing up the civilian workforce because it's unionized and because he can count on their vote. Where he's been advocating extraordinary reductions in the number of uniformed military personnel. Why? Because he knows that the young men and women in uniform are not reliable votes for him. And it's not about the security of the country, and it's going to cost us more money from what he's doing. He's one of the things that he's doing is, so right now, we have 1.42 million people in uniform on active duty. And that's supposed to move down. We have over 800,000 people in civilians working in the Department of Defense. And if you add in all of the Guard and Reserve, then the civilian workforce, out of all, if you add in everybody, it's 34%. I mean, I got to tell you, I was in the Army infantry and the Marine Corps infantry. I don't know a lot of casualties on any enemy units that were accomplished by somebody sitting behind a desk. So, unfortunately, I lost an amendment to cap the civilian workforce down to 30, bring it from 34 to 30% in committee. And unfortunately, some unions, got to some of our Republicans. Some of those public sector unions, and they were intimidated and didn't stand with me. But there's so many. I think for what this president wants to do to this country, I mean, it's so extraordinary. It's every week he's trying to divide us in some way over some issue, and it's all about being reelected because he can't do it on his record. He cannot be reelected on his economic record. I mean, post-World War II, this is the longest economic downturn this country's had. Prior to this downturn, I think the average length of a recession, or average length of a downturn before the economy passed its pre-recession levels was 5 quarters. The longest was 7 quarters. We're still going with no end in sight. And it started the last quarter of 2008. I mean, just stunning. And it really does hinge on this election. I don't know whether Barack Obama was born in the United States or not. I don't know that. But I do know this, that in his heart, he's not an American. He's just not an American.